Most people think mulch helps their garden automatically, but used the wrong way, it can quietly create the exact problems you're trying to avoid. Yellow leaves, rotting stems, weak growth, even more watering than before. And the worst part? Most gardeners don't realize the mulch is causing it. Because mulch is powerful, it can lock moisture into the soil, protect roots from heat, and dramatically improve plant health, but only if it's used correctly. The problem is, small mistakes with mulch create big problems underneath the surface. Too much mulch suffocates the soil. The wrong mulch steals nutrients. And placing it incorrectly can slowly damage your plants without you noticing. That's why some gardens explode with growth after mulching, and others suddenly struggle. Because mulch isn't just decoration. It changes the entire environment around your plants, and once you understand the mistakes most people make, mulching becomes one of the easiest ways to build healthier soil with less work. Most gardeners start mulching for one reason: to stop watering so much. And at first, it seems simple. You cover the soil. Moisture stays longer. Plants look healthier. But then problems start appearing. Plants wilt anyway. Stems become soft. Growth slows down, and people blame the weather, the fertilizer, even the plant itself. When the real issue is usually how the mulch was applied, because mulch works like insulation. Done correctly, it stabilizes the soil. Done poorly, it traps problems underneath. And this first mistake is probably the most common of all. Mistake number 1: piling mulch against the stem. Most people do this without thinking. They pile mulch right up against the plant stem, almost like they're trying to protect it. But that creates the perfect environment for rot, because mulch holds moisture. And when constant moisture sits against the stem, airflow disappears. The base of the plant stays damp for too long. Fungi and disease start developing, and slowly, the plant weakens from the bottom up. This is especially dangerous for tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and young trees. The fix is simple. Pull the mulch slightly away from the stem. Just a small gap. That tiny space allows airflow, keeps the stem dry, and prevents moisture from constantly sitting against the plant. It seems small, but this one change alone can prevent major problems later in the season. Mistake number 2: using too much mulch. Most people think if mulch is good, more must be better. That's where things go wrong, because soil still needs air. And when mulch becomes too thick, especially wet mulch, it starts suffocating the surface underneath. Rain starts sitting on top of the mulch instead of soaking into the soil. The soil underneath stays heavy, damp, and unable to breathe properly. Roots stay too wet for too long. Instead of creating healthy soil, you create a heavy, compact layer that traps moisture and slows growth. This happens a lot with wood chips and wet grass clippings. The goal isn't to bury your soil, it's to protect it. For most gardens, a layer around 5 to 10 centimeters is enough. That's all you need to retain moisture, reduce heat stress, and protect soil life. More than that often creates the opposite effect, because healthy gardening usually isn't about extremes, it's about balance. Mistake number 3: using fresh material incorrectly. This mistake quietly steals nutrients from your plants, especially with fresh wood chips, sawdust, or uncomposted material. Here's why. As fresh material breaks down, it temporarily pulls nitrogen from the soil. And nitrogen is one of the main nutrients plants need for healthy green growth. So instead of feeding your plants, the mulch starts competing with them. That's why plants sometimes turn pale or slow down after mulching. Not because mulch is bad, but because the material wasn't ready. Now, this doesn't mean you can't use fresh mulch. You just need to use it correctly. Keep fresh wood chips, mostly on the surface. Don't mix them deeply into the soil. And if you're using materials that decompose slowly, combine them with compost underneath. That way the soil stays balanced while the mulch breaks down naturally. Because the goal is feeding the soil gradually, not creating stress while trying to improve it. And here's what surprises most gardeners. Mulch problems usually don't appear immediately. That's what makes them difficult to notice. The damage builds slowly underneath the surface, while everything still looks fine from above. Then weeks later, plants suddenly become weak. Growth slows down, and people assume the problem came out of nowhere. But the underground system was struggling the entire time. Mistake number 4, leaving soil bare around the garden. This is where most mulch systems fail without people noticing. They mulch around a few plants, but leave large sections of soil exposed. And exposed soil loses moisture incredibly fast. Sun hits the surface directly. Heat builds up. The living layer underneath the soil slowly becomes weaker and less active. It's like leaving part of your garden unprotected during extreme weather. Because in nature, healthy soil is almost never bare. There's always protection. Leaves, plant debris, ground cover, something covering the surface. That protective layer keeps temperature stable, holds moisture in, and prevents the soil from slowly degrading. So instead of mulching only tiny circles around plants, think bigger. Protect as much exposed soil as possible. Even a thin layer can make a huge difference over time, because the real power of mulch isn't just helping individual plants. It's stabilizing the entire system underneath them. Mistake number 5, using the wrong mulch in the wrong place. Some mulch types quietly create problems people blame on their plants. Heavy wood chips work great around trees and pathways, but can stay too wet around delicate vegetables. Fresh grass clippings can add nutrients quickly, but thick layers become slimy and compacted. Straw is excellent for vegetable gardens, but hay can introduce weeds everywhere. The mistake isn't using mulch, it's using the wrong type for the situation. Think about what your plants actually need. Vegetables usually prefer lighter, breathable mulch. Trees and shrubs can handle heavier materials. And sometimes the best mulch is simply what's locally available and natural to your environment. Because good gardening isn't about copying one perfect method. It's about creating the right conditions for your specific garden. And here's something most people realize too late. Mulch is not just about moisture. It's about soil life. Because underneath healthy mulch, something important starts happening. Worms move upward. Microorganisms stay active longer. Organic matter breaks down slowly into the soil. The entire underground system becomes more alive. That's why gardens with healthy mulch often look more stable overall. Not just greener, but stronger. One simple trick many experienced gardeners use is adding a thin layer of compost underneath the mulch, because mulch protects the surface. But compost feeds the life underneath it. Together, they create a much more stable soil system. Moisture stays balanced longer. Worm activity increases. And over time, the soil becomes darker, softer, and easier to grow in. It's a small step, but it dramatically improves how mulch performs long-term. Because in the end, good mulching isn't about doing more. It's about protecting the system underneath your plants. Keep the soil covered, keep it breathing, keep it alive, and over time, your garden starts doing something remarkable. It becomes easier to grow. Not because you're constantly fixing problems, but because fewer problems appear in the first place.